Hi guys! Welcome to the 6th playthrough of The Lost Crown. So, well, not the 6th playthrough, like necessarily, but like the 6th part of the game. So last time we finally went to Gruel's Antiques and met Jemima. Because we don't know who the crazy guy behind the doll is. So, yeah, now, we're gonna gotta figure out where to go next. I have a feeling I need to like find a key or something for the book that I found. Yep, so that's that one. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Do it. Yeah, because I found this, but I can't get into it.
Blast! The book is stuck fast.
Did I give the pig? Nope, I didn't give the pig my thingy. So give the pig my pie, and then I think Bob might be able to actually help me get into the book itself. We'll see though. Yeah, I don't know how long I'm gonna be playing for today. It could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, or maybe a little bit more than that. So we will find out. It depends on how far I get and if I get stuck.
That's not right.
That's not right. Always end up with more bread to give him. Like, unless he's just not eating it. Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and leave. I don't know what the purpose of this is.
Hello again.
Hello, lad. What can I do for you?
Hobbies.
Could you open this book for me?
Oh, lost the key, have you?
Not exactly. I never had it.
Ah, I see. Leave it with me. I'll see to it this afternoon.
I'll leave you to your work.
See you again, lad.
I don't know what else I'm supposed to do now, because I thought he would immediately open it. No!
I wonder where he's off to.
Okay.
Celtic Corner. It's worth a look.
Well, this is the most color rooms had in this game so far.
Can I help at all?
No, thanks. I'm just browsing.
Browsing, eh? See anything you liked?
I'll let you know.
The ambitious projects you have embarked upon will set you free from those that bleed your energy levels, as they have over the past few weeks. Remember to indulge your dreams and fantasies, but settle back on Earth once in a while.
Ah, still snapping, eh?
No one will accuse you of not trying this week, as you seem to be busier than ever, both at home and work. Fulfillment is another matter, though, and you'll begin to
Could you help me?
question whether
Certainly anything for you, Nigel.
Ah, news travels fast.
The arrival of a young man in Sexton would not escape me.
I see. Well, I hope I live up to expectation.
Oh, you've already managed that.
Despite a hectic lifestyle, a competitive atmosphere at work suits you well.
So fucking creepy.
A chance to be noticed by those who
I'm Nigel Danvers, and you are...
I'm Rice. Thanks for asking. Rice bread.
Is that Celtic, or Welsh, or something?
Welsh. Well done. Not just a pretty face, you.
Thanks.
Tell me about the photo competition.
Sexton snappers?
Yes, can anyone take part?
If you have a camera and a good eye.
I'll give it my best shot. Any tips?
Keep in mind that I see a lot of Sexton, day by day. So try to snap something a bit more unusual.
Unusual? I can certainly manage that. Know any local ghost stories?
Oh, hundreds. Check the bookshelf, if you haven't already.
I will. Is that your cat?
Aye, meet Mr. Tips. He knows a story or two.
What do you know about Nanny Noah?
Ha! Old Noah been at you, has she?
Well, I wouldn't say that. She just seems...
Distant. She's a good friend. But even I have to admit that she's away with the fairies. Most of the time.
Thanks for your time, Reese.
No problem, boyo. Anytime.
a bumpy road this week, with career planet Pluto at odds with financial planet Mars. So good communication at home
Okay.
and work is essential if you're going to avoid confusion.
Unknown Angilia, visitors from the world unseen. In 3 volumes. Okay. Oh, good God. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll read this. And we'll go from there. Feel free to skip forward if you want to or not, but I feel that it's probably pertinent to the story to kind of know what the hell's going on. So, without further ado, we will start doing this. Alright. The Crossroad Haunting. Crossroad ghosts have always featured highly in supernatural compendiums and investigation portfolios. Many reasons have been offered for why crossroad ghosts are so prolific. Many believe that murderers, suicide, warlocks, and thieves were strung up at such sites or buried alive. Superstition suggests that any returning spirits will be confused by the abundance of direction and wander by the ways and tracks forever. Other theories propose that terrible rampant orgies took place at such sites, populated by witches, sorcerers, and gypsies of both male and female persuasion. Whatever the likely cause, the crossroads and junctions of Angilia have long boasted many a frightful story, 2 of which are featured on the following pages. The Oldcombe Lane Phantom. It was a cold spring night in deepest Angilia when Robert Bridge made his way along Oldcombe Lane. He was returning from choir practice at the nearby church when he became aware he might not be alone in the dusky gloom. Behind him, further down the lane, he sensed another traveler making their way back to town. Thinking it may be a friend, singing partner, or villager, Robert turned to greet his shadowy pursuer. As he did, a blackbird flew up from the hedgerow, uttering a shrill alarm call. A pretty young maiden in country dress and bonnet was making her way towards him. Normally Robert would be happy to join such a lovely on his journey, but something struck him as odd. He could see the eager look in her eyes, could hear the rustling of her skirts and the quiet hum of the rural tune. uttered from her pursed lips, yet no sound came from her movements on the dusty lane. Unnerved, Robert slowed his pace only to notice that the maiden did not appear to come any closer. She was still moved at quite a pace, but seemed to follow at the same distance. Coming to a halt, Robert watched the eerie creature glide to within a few yards of him. Staring into his eyes, she removed her pretty bonnet, lifting it high and then towards his hands. He took the item and watched as she moved backwards towards the hedge and vanished before his very own eyes. Feeling terribly shaken, Robert looked down at the bonnet in his hands. Oh God. The inside was full of twigs, straw, and leaves. It was a blackbird's nest, but in the center where bright blue eggs should await life, there were 3 shriveled young birds, bald of feather and bulbous of bane. All 3 tiny creatures were dead. Dropping the bonnet, Robert fled back to his home in Saxton and never walked the Oakham Lane again. Many other travelers have met the mysterious maiden of Oakham Lane. In 1875, a visiting young priest who was fair of face and of kind nature, approached by a beautiful young meadow girl holding garlands of poppy, daisy, and companion. In her hair she wore a pasque flower freshly picked from the cliff top at Oakham. Asking her name, the maiden smiled a knowing smile and faded from view. The last publicized appearance of the Oakham Lane maiden was in May 1901. 2 grave diggers, brothers by the name of Russet, were busy furrowing into the earth in the upper churchyard when they were distracted by the most peculiar of sounds. A soft, sweet pastoral tune was calling to them from the cliff path. Approaching the uncanny sound, the 2 brothers were rendered speechless by the sight before them. A fair maiden drifting along the path with no visible means. Nearing the cliff edge, she disappeared completely without a trace as the enchanting tune faded away. Alrighty then. Haunted farmsteads. Cool. England's landscape is an ancient one, cleared of forest, plowed, seeded, and plowed once again for over 1,000 years. It is of little surprise to find that much of the rural landscape can boast a haunting of varying description, from the uncanny green men of the land to frivolous phantoms who tend to kitchen matters and household chores. Rarely do I encounter a farmstead with no supernatural charms or horrors. The following tale, delivered to me by a famous Saxon authoress, is of the later description. Please, dear reader, be prepared for the tale I'm about to present. The Hunt of the Dead. Midway through the 18th century, a yeoman and his family led the humble life of land farming and animal husbandry. Their small farmstead, Gibb Farm, out on the Northfield Road, was sheltered by the presence of the Saxton Hills, meaning the family avoided the bustle of town life. Many years passed in the life of this unremarkable family. Through rain, snow, sun, and wind, the yeoman's 2 daughters grew bonny and fair, while his only son turned manly of strength and adventurous in nature. All seemed just so in the household until the eve of Beltane, when something truly extraordinary happened to the simple country folk. Beltane, recognized in antiquity as the beginning of a rebirth of seasonal cycle, is more popularly known as May Day. Okay, although the exact calendar date is hard to place, even in the modernity of 18th century life, the yeoman and his family approached this date as a significant milestone in their yearly labors. Animals were led to sprouting pasture while seed was scattered into fertile soil. Gathering around the midnight fire to give praise to those who blessed their lands, the yeoman and his family were alarmed to hear a dreadful sound issued from someplace beyond the farmstead window. The hideous sound was described to me as like that of a terrified sow about to be gutted and bled. It is believed that many animals, like the pig, can sense their own death at the hand of man. The shrieks and howls were enough to pierce the ear and chilled the blood of all who heard them. In horror of what lay beyond the feeble window, the yeoman and his yeoman's family pressed their faces against the icy cold glass in an attempt to catch a glance of the terrified creature. Beyond the window, a small kitchen garden led to the Northfield Lane. Oh, this is a long one, okay. No visible signs were discernible in the pale moonlight, so the family looked even further into the night. Suddenly, without warning, a terrible pale face, described as sexless, leered up at the window. It issued from its cracked, thin lips a terrible, agonized howl before the face dropped out of sight. The terrified farmer gathered his kin and hid them away in nook and cranny, for the yeoman sensed they were all in the most present of danger. The two daughters sought sanctuary under their beds, while the yeoman's brave son became guardian of the deep cellar which hid his dear mother. While sheltering in their darkened corners, all members of the family heard the unmistakable sound of a drum beat coming forth from the nearby hills. The beat grew louder and more distinct as the family became ever more aware of the horror that may befall them. The yeoman himself thought better to guard the entrance to their feeble home. Beyond the oak door he heard scratching and grunting of the wild hogs that were attempting to breach their feeble defenses. Peering through the keyhole, the yeoman glanced upon the most frightful scene. Black, almost shapeless forms were digging at the ground around the Northfield Road, mere yards from the door. Stare as he might, the farmer was unable to identify the foul-looking beasts as they dug deeper into the dark earth. As he watched, further dark shapes appeared to grow from beneath the ground, forming vague human shapes, which twisted and wreathed in apparent agony. Some of the wreath-like creatures seemed to attempt an escape from the unearthly scene, but the grunting, shrieking beasts herded the wretched souls as if they were animals prepared for slaughter. As the drumming sound became insistent, the yeoman felt he must avert his eyes, for a new sound had joined the ghastly chorus, that of a horse's hooves. Clattering along the ancient road, some nightmarish figure had come to collect the souls. With his eyes tight shut, the farmer heard the phantom creature scream in absolute horror at the figure before them. Wind rattled the door behind him. The windows clattered as if torn by storm. Yet the farmer did not open his eyes for fear that he would join the wretched creatures in the hunter's realm of utter damnation. Suddenly, as quickly as they had started, silence fell upon the farmstead as the family members gathered at the fire once more. They gave heartfelt thanks to those deities who had offered protection and kept their souls safe from the horrors beyond the door. Jesus. Many years had passed without further incident when the yeoman was told the past of his humble farmstead. Some decades before his arrival, the Northfield Road at Gibb Farm was the scene of many executions of the villainous, damned, and indescribable of Saxton. The guilty were hung, drawn, and quartered, and buried in coffinless graves along the road before the farm, to be dug up by country beasts and stripped of flesh by carrion birds. Few of Saxton's folk would venture into the isolated spot, and none would spend the night on May Day's Eve, for it is well known throughout Anglia that Beltane is the night of the great hunt, when grim Dread himself sought to escort the wretched souls to their place in the underworld's terrible domain. Upon hearing of the farm's horrific connections, the yeoman made his decision that his and his family would enjoy Beltane night by the hospitable fire of Saxton's Bear, as far away from the Northfield Road as their souls would gladly take them. Well then, nothing better than like we're gonna celebrate. Oh, by the way, Grimdread's gonna come and take his souls. You might get a little bit scared. Funny thing is, I don't know how it is in Australia for real estate agents and stuff like that, but I know in some states in the United States, they have to, or I've heard they've had to disclose if there's any previous like deaths or any like big things and stuff like that. Like if someone's died in the home, if like there was like the history of the house essentially, which I think is relatively funny because you are not gonna walk any land on this planet, even under the ocean. You're not gonna walk anywhere that hasn't seen some type of death. Sorry to inform you of this, but I highly doubt that there's like not more places that aren't haunted than there are haunted. So like games like this and stuff like that, they creep me out, sure. Like I get to the point sometimes where I'm so wrapped up I can't continue, but Yeah, no, I like it. What is it? Okay. The ghosts of the sea. Our ocean can be cruel and unforgiving. Can be a cruel and unforgiving mistress. All sailors have a story to tell of her unending movements around the globe and the trials that she brings forth. Many of these tales, often recounted in song or verse, include phantom characters, beasts of supernatural nature, or amazing creatures from the bottomless depths. The ancient inns, pubs, and hostelries of Angilia are often hushed to an eerie silence as crinkled, toothless fishermen tell a charming but frightful tale. The next account was heard by my very own ears in the Saxton pub known as the Bear in 1913. Teetering on the brink of the Great War, this story presented an uncanny relevance which is strange in itself given that the fisher folk performed the tale from memory alone. The failed invasion. Oh, good. It was a stormy night in Saxton. Towards the end of the 19th century, a wicked but destructive wind had blown across the North Sea, bringing with it the howls and whispers of 1,000 Norse warriors. Saxton's past was rich but secretive by nature, with some believing that only the most formidable of storms would shake those secrets from the ancient stones and timbers. Window shutters were sealed, and the doors of Saxton were bolted. The buildings of the town clung to the hillside like limpet untidal rocks. No one would venture into the storm. No one except Walter Spivey, who feared for his ship, the Venture. So Walter Spivey, as we previously found out in the past video, was the captain of a ship that was taking, for lack of a better term right now that I can't think of, relics from the surrounding area, claiming that he'd found it over near Spain and selling it, and it's pretty much illegal at the time to do that. And he got found out, and in that cave that we were in, the ghost by the fire and stuff is where we found the diary that had mentioned Rule, because that's who he was selling the stuff to I guess, for lack of a better term, shuffle it around and like make money. So, but anyways, like all good captains, Spivey was very close to his vessel, and he knew the oncoming storm could take her from him. Tethering the boat with all the rope of Saxton, Spivey settled himself in the caverns of Saxton shore, shielding his eyes from the biting rain. Spivey was astonished to see a boat on the churning seas. Thrown by gigantic waves, the ship was approaching the rocks of Saxton at a frightening speed. Spivey was quick in his thoughts and realized that the lighthouse must not be lit. Why else would those fools be in such a haste to meet the Saxton's lethal stones? Dashing through the waves, rain, and gales, Spivey's enlisted help from the Bear's comfy maw. The moments were recounted in a local verse. 6 men dwelt inside the Bear, so 6 men ventured out, up the lane and whispered prayer to the wayward ship thrown all about. Damn the storm, send it back to hell. Let us light the light and ring the bell. Go forth, for we have souls to save. Lift them from their watery grave. Okay, cool. It's a long story. Jeez. But it's probably the most important one out of all the ones that we've read so far. As Spivey and his brave companions made their way up to the lighthouse, which was perched on Saxton's coastal road, he was able to make out some details of the vessel, enough to form a rude impression. It appeared to be of antique manufacture, boasting little in the way of tenacity or fortitude, tossed upon the North Sea like a child's plaything or a leaf in a brook. Spivey feared all souls would be lost, shredded on the rocks which prickled with the town. Descending to the small lighthouse, Spivey struck a powerful light, lighting the light to the welcoming crowd. The lighthouse burst into action. A strong, steady flame issued from within to warn the oncoming ship. To their horror, Spivey and his party watched as the light was quickly snuffed. A sharp and devious wind had crept underneath the cowl. As his fellow seamen called for action, Spivey lit the lamp once more. Once again the light grew strong and withered before their very eyes. Something unearthly was occurring up by Saxton's lighthouse. With leaden hearts, the desperate party watched as the stricken ship entered the treacherous bay, waiting for the first blood-curdling sound of timber upon the rocks. The wind became so strong the party could barely stand as rain lashed against the coast as if trying to wash the town clean away. Within a blink, the ship was suddenly gone from view as if it were never there. Spivvy looked on, amazed at the empty churning sea below them. Yeah, 'cause that's not creepy. Now you see me, now you don't. Returning to the bear, Walter Spivvy told his tale to those who dwelt within. All were quiet as the tale unfolded. As they pondered the strange event, a local man stepped forward to offer some explanation. It was known to him that in the 16th century, a ship left Spain to set sail for England's coast. A sly, devious crew planned invasion of the most malicious kind. The plan was to execute the Queen herself and to those loyal to her. The Queen was well aware of such plans, for they were hardly original or well thought through. She had, at intervals along the coast, posted scouts to warn of potential threats. The Saxton scout spied such a craft making its way around the headland one moonless, stormy night. He was hidden well behind the town's beacon up on the coastal road. The scout knew his task was obvious, for he knew he must extinguish the beacon's flame that battled against a ferocious wind. The ship approached the weather worsened. As the weather worsened, it became obvious that the ship would be lost to Saxon's patriotic rocks. I don't know how rocks would be patriotic, but we'll go with it. This happened swiftly in a great event not to be forgotten. Many men drowned there and then, but many survived to climb the cliffs. The people of Saxton gathered stones, timber, and dung, and threw missiles with all their might. The poor souls beneath stood no chance and plummeted to the jagged razor-like rocks below to be cut to ribbons in seconds. Upon hearing this historical tale, Spivvy and those within the bear knew what they had seen that night. The ghostly form of the invading ship had attempted to reach its goal once more. Saxton had once more performed its loyal duty. Many believe that Saxton and much of Anglia is still protected from invasion by the Anglo-Saxon crowns. One is known to have been lost to the sea at Oakham some centuries ago. The other was reduced to molten metal after the Norman invasion of 1066. The last crown, believed to be the helm of a fine Anglo-Saxon ruler, is thought rather fancifully to remain concealed deep in the ancient landscape. Superstition tells that Anglia and England itself will fall if the last crown is discovered and removed. Oh my god. I had to fix the way I'm sitting. Whew. All Anglo-Saxon symbols have four meanings based on the angle of depiction. For example, the symbol for cave can be rotated to mean inside the cave, below the cave, above the cave, or outside the cave. Alright. Likewise, the symbol for person can be rotated to mean man, woman, boy, or girl. A trained eye could spot the subtle differences within the symbol and decipher the hidden message within. Combining symbols at different angles can create whole sentences, poems, and even directions, like symbolic map markers and locations. So that must be what one of the is over by the Sedge Marsh. So I will have to take a picture of it later. Is that what all of them are? Yep. Countryside festivals of antiquity. Okay, so I'm just gonna read Beltane. May Day Eve and May Day itself, April 29th to May 1st. Of all the ancient festivals, it is Beltane and May Day which survive unaltered and uncorrupted by modern religion. This could be partly explained by the importance of the event and the role it plays in life. May Day is the beginning of summer when both landscape and those who live within the recognized as fertile and ready to seed or take seed. Human fertility rates are performed at this time. Rites, not rates, rites. My bad. um, some body Morris dancers bashing their sticks in dance, or the village young skipping around the maypole. Our modern times are perhaps rather embarrassed by these pagan ceremonies due, I feel, to a prudishness which has crept into our lives through church and miseducation. For although it is not outwardly stated, these ceremonies continue today as strong as they were in antiquity. The mighty Romans celebrated May Day and its eve by offering flowers to Flora, goddess of nature and fertility. Both the Romans and the ancient land people of Europe lit mighty bonfires of birch, oak, rowan, willow, hawthorn, apple vines, hazel, and fir. Amorous young men and women were encouraged to jump across the sacred flames and seek physical love in the house. In the hours which follow, there was a belief that a child conceived on May Day would grow to be as strong and powerful in all they performed. In darker times, Beltane, which translates from Gaelic meaning fire of Bel, Bel being the Celtic god of light, is thought to be the opposite ceremony in Samhain, also known as Halloween. The veil between the world of people and the land of beasts, mystical animals, and the spirits was thought to be its most transparent. In other words, ghosts, demons, fairy folk, and earth sprites were thought to wander the fertile land alongside us. Many a ghost story finds its original foundation in Beltane. During the darkest hours of the night before the arrival of summer itself, anyone seeking the supernatural is advised to apply extra caution on this night, as the forces that govern the unknown are very powerful indeed. Okay, cool. And then a druidic priest attempts divination at Beltane. It is the summer solstice, Mabon, Samhain. Cool. I'm not reading through all that. That doesn't seem super pertinent.
Your underlying feeling of superiority over others will become clearer to see in the eyes of the fools that surround you. The ambitious
Yeah, that's the trunk that I got the thing from.
set you free from those that bleed your
Okay.
energy levels, as they have over the past week.
God, that was a lot of talking. Yeah, your shoes are still on your feet, sir. Old magazines. You magazine. Origin of species. So, 1973. From the editor, welcome, dearest reader, to the November edition of You Magazine. It is with great pride that I welcome all our new members from the countries of Yorkshire, Norfolk, and Kent, who can now buy my humble magazine from the local farm shop, following my partnership with the Whole Food and Fancies chain. To celebrate, I have commissioned a fresh, sharp, and factual introduction to the yew tree to assist all our new friends in understanding the nature of this wonderful tree. I myself became interested in the yew tree after the passing of my husband in 60 years in 1970. Berhard was very fond of the yew, believing the tree exhibited a strange uncanny quality which he felt was worthy of study and respect. It is a great comfort to me to know that Bernhard now rests beneath the great yew in Alderley churchyard. I am sure members both old and new, will find the following pages interesting and insightful. Oh, balls. So much reading! Jesus. The yew tree, a new look. From the dense mythic forests of North America to the humble English country churchyard, the mighty and myth-laden yew tree is only now, after centuries of neglect, being recognized as a powerful symbol of time, the natural world, and that which lies beyond the realm of simple understanding. Many have gazed up into the whispering branches of the yew tree and wondered at its age. Many historical yews now boast placards exclaiming their age with pride. The problem is that it is almost impossible to date the aged yew tree. Unlike other species, the yew does actually stop growing new rings at a time determined by the tree itself, seemingly at random. No new tree rings are produced, meaning that even the most persistent of dendrologists will never find the answer to the most simple of questions. Just how old are you? I swear to God, if this is like pages and pages, I'm gonna be so mad. Honored and feared and celebrated and supported, the yew tree has enjoyed the company of many civilizations, including the Celts, the Guelph, Native American Indians, the Greeks, the Romans, basically all of the important civilizations of the Northern Hemisphere. The tree is famous for its longevity, which in the past meant it was a potent symbol of immortality, renewal, and otherworldly power. As a species, fossilized remains have been discovered dating back from the Triassic era. That's an impressive 200 million years ago. The ancient ancestor of the yew tree was able to survive extreme climate changes, from steaming swamps to the chill of the Ice Age. In fact, science informs us that pollen discovered in core samples of the Ice Age reveal the yew tree actually thrived in the deep cold of that era. The enormous impenetrable forests of Europe were 80% yew, a shocking statistic in comparison to the decline we witness today. Our ancient ancestors knew how to use the tree to create marvelous tools and lethal weapons. The impressive longbows of the Middle Ages were usually cut from yew timber. The slow growth creates a tight, solid fiber which exhibits great strength and workability. The wood provided... Why are you doing this, sound? The wood provided bows, while the sap and berry juice provided a nasty poison to add a toxic finality to the arrow strikes. Many English yew trees can be found providing cover by the church porch in medieval villages. The fact is, many of these trees predate the church building, no matter how historic. By thousands of years, the tree acts as a reminder and a marker that something else once stood where God's house now resides. Some believe that the shrines or churches of the ancients were surrounded by trees, and that the mysterious druids worship at such places. There are loose theories that the yew was included in an ancient alphabet used by the druids, the Celts, and was later adopted by the Anglo-Saxons. Many superstitions surround the tree, perhaps generated by its poisonous nature, which include the death tree. Use a branch of this tree in magic to summon the dead or communicate with those who have recently passed over. Keep a branch near to encourage the spirits to converse with the living. An ill omen. Bringing the yew into the home at Yuletime, Christmas, is a very bad omen. It reveals that a loved one, including family members, is about to die. Ironically, they may find themselves resting next to the yew tree in the nearby graveyard. Prosperity. Planting a young yew tree, especially in spring, is thought in some parts of our countryside to deliver great wealth and life to your own young. Evil shade. It is well known throughout Anglia that sleeping under a yew tree invites harm. The tree is believed to suck all life force from those who dwell beneath, leaving only a lifeless husk of their former self. If spending any time beneath one of these trees, it is suggested that you do so in quiet prayer, if any religion, to shield yourself from the yew's deathly shade. Oh God. Is this a comic? Yeah, it's a comic. Scare yourself silly. Re-entering the study, Arthur was amazed to find the colonel missing. One of the bookshelves caught his eye. It was a secret door. It must have been a priest hole. Giles, where does this lead? It smells like death in here. Funny that, sir. It leads to the churchyard at Uncombe Spooky. Uncombe Spooky, sorry. That's like a period. There's a period there. Didn't see it. Arthur scrambled down the tunnel much to catch up with the colonel. He had taken the clock. He must get it back. Leaving the tunnel, he found himself near the church nave. By this old sundial, there was the colonel on the floor. He's hiding that cursed clock. The clock could wait. Arthur knew that he must find Rob and contact the police. The colonel had lost his mind. Cool. Build your own Bronze Age holiday home.
The harbour wall.
So that's where Harbor Cottage is, just about. Oh my god, he's gonna do it.
Hello! Nothing but the North Sea. Next stop, Norway.
Oh, is it the afternoon? Moving on up. My jaw hurts. Oh, I haven't talked that much in fucking ever. He's still in there, okay. I didn't mean to hit that. Hmm. Lean back. Let me go back and find that rock. I'm gonna take a picture of it and go all the way back to Celtic Corner. Because I think that's what I need to do. Yeah, see?
Symbolic images or ancient. That's not right.
What are you telling me that's not right?
Nothing ventured. Oh, okay. So I gotta be somewhere in like here. Or is it all the way up the coastal path and skipping the hotel? Yeah, because there's a little lighthouse. Oh shit.
That's not what I meant to
Hello
do.
there.
Oh,
I'll see you around.
you.
I wonder if I can like take a nap now because I can't answer any questions or anything else or like go and do anything else.
Home, sweet home.
For the time being. Ba, ba, ba. Oh, God. Oof. It's gonna be a fun night.
Hello again.
Ah, young Mr. Danvers. You'll be wanting your book.
Yes. Did you open it?
Of course. Wouldn't be much of a handyman if I hadn't.
You didn't read it, did you?
Nope. Reading's not my strong point.
You can't read?
Reading's not the only skill, you know.
Oh, quite.
Huh.
I should go somewhere private to study the book.
Oh, no choice. Okay. William Ager's journal. Ager House, Raven Lane, Northfield, Angilia.
Ager House, Raven Lane, Northfield. A possible lead. Three crowns. A link to the legend. A serpent or dragon guarding a treasure. A serpent or dragon guarding a treasure. Ager. A name to look out for. Now for the rest of the book.
'Twas the darkest dawn, the day she went away. I passed the wood of pine
The
and
tracks,
oak.
the fens. Perhaps this Ager character lived along the train line. A possible lead.
The day she went away to the town I went that blackened day, the day she went away. Along the track to town and back, the day her screams did end. She cried no more the whispering reeds of the fog-shrouded fen, the day her screams did end. From within the cave by Saxton shore, an endless kiss from dark within, my Emily, she lay with me, to set me free by churning sea, my maiden had promised me. Then Emily cried at the turn of tide to bring the folk from town. She must be still, she must not cry, for the fishermen were passing by. I covered her mouth and covered those eyes. She must be still, she must not cry. She wanted the flower from the rocks of the hill, but now sweet Emily was nothing but still. The waters came and covered her face. Upon her brow a pasque flower was placed. To end my love the sweet Emily the day she went away. That's that ghost. That is that ghost. That's what that is. Huh.
The tracks, the fens. Perhaps this alien character lived along the train line. A possible lead.
Let's do it. Come on, Scooby. We're doing it, Shaggy. Ha ha ha. The name Agar ends up, you end up seeing on the plaque on the wall that we would walk past, like when we first get off the beach or go onto the beach, over by that area where we had talked to Professor Hardacre that night. And then you see it on the plaque of the deer head on the wall, if I remember correctly. So like those are like the two times that I can think of that we've seen that name before. The fuck is that noise?
There's something wrong with the signal. Is it stuck?
I don't know, but your dumbass need not walk on the train.
There's something wrong
Tracks.
with the signal. Is it stuck?
I wonder if it's because the story that the guy at the train station had told.
Hello! Hello! That's not right. That's not right.
Huh.
That's not right. 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 I already have a photograph of this. That's not right. Hello!
Hmm. Sure, I'll enter the creepy forest.
I have no idea where this leads, if it leads anywhere at all.
Huh.
That's not right. Uh. What's this?
Why do you treat me like the dirt? Your mouth says never, but your sweet lips say other. I know you want the same as I am always watching you, as you know all too well. It'll be better for all if you just leave them and come to Brock Farm. My needs are at bursting, yes, yet you dampen my passion. I'll kill your Robert like the sickly sow that he is. Dig that big knife of mine into his pale flesh to see if his love is as hidden as mine. The farm is your place. The stove awaits. The stove awaits. You pig. You are mine by right. These old fields know that my hardened will is ripe for you, my sweetest berry. Come, come to the woods when he is not watching. I will wait for you as the owl waits for nightfall and the wolf waits for winter. I don't know how I feel about that.
This must be Ager House on Raven Lane.
Oh no.
Good afternoon.
You startled me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have...
Oh, no, it's my fault. I was miles away, somewhere between spring and summer.
You should be complimented on your garden.
Oh, thank you. It's both a burden and a joy. It feeds us and provides much of what we need.
You sound like a witch.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, no, I meant as in a wicca or chemist.
I see. Yes, I guess you could be right. I do create many charms and potions from petal and leaf. Such pretty young things.
Is that horrible letter meant for you?
Oh, don't. That silly old codger. He should know better. His affections upset my dear Robert, bless him. He's a sensitive soul.
Robert?
Oh, where are my manners? I'm Catherine Carswell. My husband Robert is in his workshop, fuming at present.
Why is that?
He's convinced I'm going to run off with the farmer.
And are you?
Oh, goodness no, smelly man. I'll get no joy from Robert until he's calmed himself.
How will you do that?
Via his stomach, as always.
I can smell cooking.
Ah, that'll be the broth. I'm making lunch. Why don't you join us?
I'd love to. What's on the menu?
An old favourite, 7 pigeon and nut broth. It's an Anglo-Saxon recipe.
Really? Now there's a thing. Is it, well, edible?
Good heavens, I should hope so. Perhaps you could help.
I'm not exactly a TV celebrity chef, though.
TV chefs? What's that? You've lost me.
Oh, not to worry. Where do we start?
I'll pick some more of these bay leaves while you read the recipe. It's in the kitchen, past Jasper the Parrot.
I'll have a look around, if you don't mind.
Let people just let him walk around, like...
No frost damage on this one.
Excuse me, but can you...
I've told you, silly goose, that I'm not to be disturbed.
No, Mr. Carswell, I am not...
The afternoon post or my lunch is all I'm expecting. Now get to it. There's precious work to be done.
What?
No frost damage on this one.
Alright, my dude.
This must be Jasper, the parrot. Maybe a mockingbird instead. It's been washed smooth by heavy spring rain. The patterned stone is heavily cracked, probably frost damage.
He won't go off, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pause it here because like this is getting into nitty gritty stuff and I'm zoning out a little bit. But yeah, so I'll pause it here. I'll continue it either tonight or on or the next night or something. I had to get figured out because my husband's off for like the next 4 days. So yeah, fun times. Anyways, I will go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Bye.